back to Paint the Night Away with me, Colleen Watchorn. I didn't think we'd be back at this, but with quarantine again and everybody's at home, I guess what better thing can we do than start painting again? So we're gonna do a fun winter painting today. This is gonna be kind of a Van Gogh inspired winter painting. It's kind of whimsical and it'll be good for all ages, adults to kids. So what you're gonna need to start is we're gonna have blue. This is kind of an ultramarine blue, a green or a yellow, whichever one you would like, and then a white and a black, a very limited palette. This is acrylic, by the way. A couple of different size brushes. We're gonna be working on a 12 by 16 canvas. Again, what you have, I always like to go a little bigger. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna start with our large brush, dip it in the water because we're working with acrylic paint. A little bit of water on your brush is your friend, don't forget that. We're gonna actually start with our sky. That is the focal point really of this picture, is this wonderful swirly twirly sky. So what we're gonna do is actually decide where we want those focal point stars. Just like in Starry Night, they're really important. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of blue and then just take a little bit of white. I like to always take from the side, that way I've got lots of clean paint here. There we go, and this is just gonna be my first color, just a really pale blue, just so I can lay out what I want to happen up here. So the first thing I'm actually gonna do is decide where my horizon line is gonna be, that way I don't put a star right on my horizon. So I'm just gonna go, if this is center, I'm going about half of that. You don't need a whole lot of ground. Doesn't have to be a straight line. In fact, the less straight, probably the better. It adds a little bit of fun. So that's my horizon line. Now I'm gonna decide, I do want my focal point star, the biggest one, to be right about this area. Don't go up too close to your edges. And I'm gonna go like this and just do a nice big round circle. That's gonna be my biggest one. And then I'm gonna decide how to lay them out. I'm gonna go maybe one here. This will be a smaller one. Maybe one here. And maybe here. Keep in mind that you're gonna have stuff coming in front, so don't have all your stars just in this area. I'll throw one right down here as well. Otherwise, a lot of it will get covered up. So now I know where my stars are gonna go. The next thing I'm going to do is actually just take white on my dirty brush, don't even need to clean it, and I'm gonna swirl inside of each one. So that becomes kind of a light bluish white color like that. Just starting to create that fun swirly twirly effect. Go around each one. There we go. And we'll probably come back to them yet and change them up, but that's a good start. Now my next step is actually going to be to create the swirl that kind of goes around some of the stars. And for that, I'd like it to be a little bit of a different color. So if you chose green or yellow, what you're gonna do is actually do a little mixture, because I wanna have almost a tealy color. I wanna just have a little bit of a different tint here. Because I chose green, let's see what happens. Oh, that's a pretty color. And now I'm gonna add some white to it, because we do want it to be a little bit lighter than the rest of the sky. Ooh, that's pretty. Maybe a touch more green. It's a fun winter painting. It almost gives the impression of Northern Lights. That's kind of what we're going for here. So my brush is really well loaded. I like the color I've got. So now what I'm gonna do is decide how I'm gonna swirl around. So I'm gonna go like this, go around that star right there. I'll go around each one real quick. Not looking for perfection yet. And now what I wanna do is decide what would be the most pleasing to the eye. I want it to flow really nicely. So I think I'm gonna go, I might skip a couple of stars. I'm gonna go around like this and maybe come around this way. So that would be one swirl. Yep, I like that. And then this one here, I think I'll probably go like this. There we go. Oh yeah. Kind of fun, whimsical. Your pattern is going to be different than my pattern because your stars are going to be laid out different than mine. Don't worry about that. That's the joy of painting. I'm out of my paint. I'm going to make a little bit more. There we go. And it's okay if it's not exactly the same color. I actually like that better anyway. There we go, we'll go right around. Don't lose your circle, but we can always make it come back if you feel like you painted over it accidentally a little bit too much. So there we go. That's a really pretty color. All right, next what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna take that dirty brush, dip right into my blue. I haven't tinted my blue at all. It's just the plain blue that I'm working with. And I'm gonna start going around. And now we want a little bit of blending to happen, but not too much. You do wanna see the distinct swirl, okay? So this isn't like blending it away completely. You're gonna work your way around with that blue all the way around. I'm not taking near enough paint on my brush. There we go. Don't be afraid to take lots of paint on your brush. There. Another fun thing is if you can see your brush strokes, in some cases you want it to be blended, but in this case, the more streaks you can kind of produce, the better your painting is gonna be. So keep some streaks. Don't worry about over blending. There we go. Oh, that's fun already. All right, we're gonna go around here. Again, you want the two colors to touch slightly. And if you notice, I'm painting in the background. I'm still following all those fun swirls. Again, because that's part of the look. Just step number one, so don't overthink it. Go around here. There we go. So is everybody bored at home already? I've been climbing the walls a little bit, I'll be honest. I think it's time to start seeing people again, but we are doing our part. We're staying home, staying safe and healthy. Hopefully you guys all are too. We'll see if we can have a good Christmas yet. That's the goal. All right, we'll go around here. I'm almost done. There we go. Now I do love, because I didn't wash my brush, I'm getting little hints of that green kind of wispy in there. I love that. It just adds to the painting. So don't be afraid to push down every once in a while, and you'll get a little bit of that color coming through when you push on your brush. All right, that's already fun. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we wanna accentuate this. It's kind of just flat right now. So I will wash my brush now. Give it a good tap in the water. There we go, dry it off a little bit. Now I wanna start creating that movement. So the first thing I'm gonna do is redo my swirls, because I want to pick up a little of that green. It's still wet enough to do. So once again, I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna swirl, go right into that green. And that is gonna kind of soften the edges and blend it. See how that just took and softened up the color change there? Look at that. So again, take some white, go in there, start swirling right into the green, like that, until it slowly starts to blend. Look at that. Doesn't take a whole lot of work, just a little bit, don't overdo it. Keep swirling that brush, pick up that paint. Look at that. Solves all the messiness, and it makes a beautiful glow in the sky. So I'm gonna pick it up, keep twirling. That's really pretty, I like that. By the way, I'll let you know, I'm kind of making this one up on the fly, because I didn't even do, I didn't even practice it before we started. So hopefully everything works out real well. But I'll be honest, I am taking a chance. All right, now this one here, I want to just get a little bigger, like this. There we go, love it. And if you really love how that kind of blends, you can always take a little bit of that white and follow that swirl with some of that white. Because your green and your blue are still really wet, you can just glide over it, soften it up slightly. All right, so I'm just taking that white, just going along the edges, Blending it slightly again, keeping it streaky. I'm not trying to blend it softly. I do want all those cool streaks to keep happening. So go around here. And see how it just fixes it up? I didn't worry about perfection because I knew I'd be coming around softening it up. So don't worry, every step has a purpose. Blend that in a little bit. There we go. And tiny bit down here, I guess. Now, it is your painting, it's your whimsy. So if you really, really want to go crazy with these streaks, you could literally go through the whole sky and keep going. I'll just show you what that means. So you could go like this with the white, and you could just keep on going right into the blue and keep adding streaks. That's one way to get that fun, whimsical look. So you can go like that. Or if you want, you can do it the other way. You can take your small brush and you can add dots or dashes. And that would be, I guess, a little bit more of the original painting. That's kind of what he would have done. So let's say I'll take a little bit of white and a little bit of that green color, and I'll just show you the difference. So this is if you just brush strokes. This is if you're going to do the dots or dashes. You're going to take that color and you're just going to start following. I'll just do this part down here. You don't want them touching. Look at that. So there's two kind of different looks you can get. It's totally up to you which look you want to do. This one is obviously a little more time consuming, but it looks super cool too. And I'm just using the green just to kind of offset all that blue. So you could choose this one or this one. I'll just go back up here and make these a little more defined so you can make that decision whichever one you like the most. I actually, interestingly, am leaning to this one. I kind of feel like I like how that's working for me. So I think what I'll do is I'll do the dots in the bottom and I'll do the swirls on the top. Why not? It's my world, my whimsy, right? So I'm just gonna go in, finish these little streaks in here, like this. Yeah, I like that. And then I'll finish these. I like the green with the blue. It just is a really pretty tone. However, if you have other paint colors at home and you want to do, I don't know, let's say purple, that would be a beautiful combination as well. It does not have to be these greens and blues, but definitely this is where my heart is today. It's obviously wintry, so that's sort of where I'm going with these colors. I'm gonna do these. Now mine will have an interesting finished look because I'm doing both techniques, but that's okay. Blend this one. I think I forgot to blend this one here before. Oops. No wrong. There we go. All right. Now the nice thing is if you do make a little mistake or you don't like a line, you can pick up some blue again and make your little touches with blue. It's easy fixes. So if you feel like a streak got too thick, pick up a bit of blue and just paint right over it. That's so easy to correct this. There we go. Real simple. Look at that. All right, I'm going to finish off the bottom with these little dashes, and then we can continue. Again, never go as fast as I go. You could pause this video and take your time. I encourage you to pause the video and take your time. There we go. Actually, kind of a cool combination too. I don't mind that either. Let's go like this, just to blend the two together a little. What do you think? Does that work for a distance? Sure, pretty cool. I'll just do that. There. I think that's a good combination. I'm happy with that. All right, next what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint in our bottom. So again, while the paint is still on your brush, a little bit kind of dirty and wet. See that? It's all dirty. I'm gonna take straight white and I'm gonna fill in the bottom because snow always reflects the colors around it. So very easy to get all those colors in here. Now I'm using my small brush just because that's what I had in my hand, but I probably would switch to my big brush for this. Takes a little bit, so I'm just gonna quickly switch. I think I still have paint on this one. There we go. Oh, that makes me happier, okay. And again, don't make the bottom too perfect. Kind of crisscross your lines. Go like that, mess it up a little bit. Don't be too perfect with this. There we go. It's supposed to be whimsical and fun. There we go. Isn't that interesting how easy it is to make something look like snow? As soon as you start reflecting the colors around it. I love that. Painting snow is definitely one of my favorites. All right, so once you're done your sky and you've got your snow in, then we need to decide background. So in the original, I think he had some mountains back there. I like that idea. Again, because this is kind of whimsical, I would say that we should do a dark blue or a gray for the background. I think I'm gonna go with dark blue. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the blue, take a little tap of black just to deepen it up a little bit. And if you're using my paints from the kit, this is a beautiful deep dark blue color. Look at that. Oh, it's my favorite. So I'm going to take this color and I'm going to put a layer of mountains back here or hills. Try not to have them mimic the snow hill too much. We have a tendency to do that. So there we go. We're just going to create a little bit of a background with that. Again, if you want to do gray, you could do a gray as well. Both colors would work as long as it's not black, because what we're putting in front of it's going to be black, just so you know, and you don't want that to make everything disappear. There we go. Oh, I like that. Now, if you want, you could even do another row of mountains. You could do a lighter shade of blue behind this. It's totally up to you how much you want to add. But my part is the front part. I want to get that tree in there and the little church. So I'm going to leave it at this. Keep it simple. All right, I've got my brush washed. If you're happy with your sky, now here's the thing. Once you start working down here, you can't go back because you're going to be putting big trees and stuff in front. So make sure you're really happy with your sky before you start plunking in this huge tree. Now, in the original painting, he has that really cool looking cypress tree. It doesn't actually look like a cypress tree, but it's a big part of that painting. So we're not going to do a cypress, we're going to do a Christmas tree or an evergreen tree. But we want to keep that whimsy and that chunky feeling. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to stick with my large brush, but you use whichever one you're more comfortable with. And I'm going to take straight black. And I want this tree to be pretty funky. I don't want it to be just straight up. So I'm going to start down here. I know my tree's going to be here. I'm going to start here. And I'm actually going to start getting a little crooked here. Go up. And like that. Look at how tall and big this tree is. Sometimes this can be intimidating to plunk black right over everything you just did, but don't worry, there's good payoff in the end. So this is my Christmas tree. I'm gonna widen the base slightly. Obviously, that's real life. And don't worry about this line being perfect because most of this line is gonna be covered up anyway, but just get that shape in there. Now to make the Christmas tree, one of my favorite things, you know what I'm gonna do if you've taken my class before, is to take lots of black paint on your brush. We're gonna start at the top and I'm just gonna tap like this. Now remember, this is a funky tree, so don't be too perfect. I'm literally just tapping my brush back and forth, and you want some heavier parts. Now you notice I'm following the curve. I want this to be really crooked and crazy, so don't be too perfect with this. I'm gonna follow that curve. Again, you're gonna see some parts are gonna be thicker. You're gonna see a little bit of the trunk, but not much. Look how easy Christmas trees are. They're my favorite. So easy and so rewarding because it's really literally you're just tapping that paintbrush. Make sure you have lots of paint. If you don't have enough paint on your brush, you tend to push pretty hard and then you get a very different look. So you want to make sure that you're got enough that you can just tap. And again, everyone's tree is going to look really different because it's your painting. You can be a little bit more perfect with your tree. You could be a little, mine is taking a bit of a creepy feeling actually, but I love it. I'm happy with it. And I'm going to just finish off. Remember, a tree like this gets a little wider as we get to the bottom, so you want to start off thin, and by the end, then you're going to start widening it up. So the base is pretty big here. Up to you if you go right to the ground or not. I think, in my world, I think I'm going to leave a little bit of a trunk here, just about like that maybe. How cool is that? That is an awesome tree. I like that one. And it's literally that quick. I know it seems like, oh no, that's such a hard thing to do. It's really the easiest thing. Start tapping, use that as your middle ground. So you're going side to side. Make sure it's not too perfect. You want to have a little bit of clumps and globs. I know sometimes we have a glob and we panic. Nope, that is what makes it look fun and realistic. That's what you want, those little globs every once in a while. Take a step back if you need to see if you need to extend somewhere, if you feel like there's a branch that needs a little more fullness, but I think I'm pretty happy with that. I love the way the stars are poking out behind there, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Now I'm gonna start doing the little church. Now here's the deal, if you don't wanna do the little church, it's actually in the original painting. You don't have to. I'm gonna do a little church here. If you want to do a couple more of these trees, that is also an option. You could do, let's say, a smaller one in the background, maybe one coming off the side. Very, very cool look that would be if you just want to leave it at that. I am going to do the church just to show you it as an option, and then I'll probably even do a little bit of a tree off to the side because I think it could use that balance. For the church, what we're going to do... Now, I'm not great at buildings, so I do not claim to be an architectural painter by any means. So I'm going to keep it extremely simple because to me, that's, if you aren't good at it, why would you try to do more than you're capable of? So what I want is in the original painting, he's got a nice big steeple. So I'm going to take my brush loaded with black, and I'm just going to come straight down. And this is going to become the steeple. Okay, so one brush stroke down. Now I'm going to just do a little top like that. Okay, my brush is a little bit bigger than probably the one that I'm going to give you in the kit, but that's okay. Now I'm going to go about right here. And I'm going to make a little roof. And there we go. Really, yours doesn't have to look like mine. Yours can be whatever it is you want. But this is actually very close to the style of church in the original painting, and I just think it's really cute. Now mine might be crooked. Very likely it's crooked. It happens. And I'll give it a little entrance part here too. There we go. All right. Now you notice, there's a little bit of a mess there. That's okay because that's gonna help me create the shadows. So I'm gonna give my brush a little rinse, take a little bit of white in my brush, and actually while it's wet, I'm gonna go like this. And I'm gonna scooch underneath there, smooth it off, and look at that shadow you can get underneath. Just like that. It's amazing what shadows do. So I'm thinking of the steeple, and that's gonna go right about there. Doesn't have to be a huge ordeal to put a shadow in. Sometimes we overthink shadows a little bit. There, and if you really wanted, you could create like a little pathway as well. How fun is that? Pathway to nowhere. Oh, how about this? How about we make, told you I'm making this up as we go. How about we make a pathway coming right down? See? just making this stuff up. Look at that. Oop, a little too dark. Just take a little white, smoosh it out. Look at that. Doesn't that look inviting, like you're going right into that little church? I like it. I think I'm happy with that. Again, I haven't taken a step back, and I am making this up as we go. So if it looks really bad on the video, I guess I'll apologize now. But that's okay. This is just to give you an idea, to help you along the way. It is your painting. Now, if you are going to do this path, one thing that's really important is that it needs to start small and end wide so that you get that nice perspective. The other thing is, you'll notice that I didn't just do a straight shot. I did kind of weave it out a little bit. Just adds a little touch more realism to the painting. Gives you a bit of a nicer feel. There. I really like that. Okay, I'm leaving it. I'm happy with it. If you want to add a little blue to your shadow, if you feel like it's a little too gray, more than welcome to do that as well. Sometimes the gray can look a little flat, so I'm okay if you want to just add a little bit of blue. Yeah, I like that better with the touch of blue in there. Okay. All right. And I think I said I'd throw another tree in on the side. Yep, I think I will. And it's just going to be off to the side, so I'll show you how to do that. So it's just going to be kind of poking itself around this way. So I'm going to go like this. It's almost going to be like you're just going to see the branches. And this is going to be a much smaller tree than the first one. You don't want them to be exactly the same height. And I don't really want to cover my focal point stars. So this is the size I'm going to go with. And you notice I'm switched to my small brush here. I'm just going to tap. Okay, and remember, lots of paint. And we're just going to go back and forth. Keep in mind, most of this tree is off your canvas, right? So you're just putting about half of a tree in here. You can tell I really love doing these trees because I'd probably add a lot more yet. I enjoy these, but I actually really like that they're not straight, that they're kind of twisted. It's fun. There we go. Look how easy that is. Once you know how to do these trees, you do them all the time. You just can't get enough of them. Perfect. I love that. Now I'm going to just do a couple more little touches here. I'm going to widen the base of this tree a little bit so it looks a little more realistic. Right now it's just a little too perfect for my liking. There we go. And I want a shadow underneath this tree as well. So I'm going to wash my brush, take a little bit of white, maybe a hint of blue. And since that black is white, that's going to help too. Or wet, I mean. There we go. So we're going to do a little bit of shadow. And then we're just going to go like this. Create that shadow under the tree. Again, we overthink our shadows sometimes. Don't overthink it. Just smoosh the shadow under there. That's all it takes. Look at that. So easy. If you really want, you can take some white and just add a little bit of white right under the tree like that. Gives you that little hint of snow. I love that. So simple. You can do the same thing around the church if you want. Throw a little bit of snow along the bottom. There we go. Even around the pathway a little bit if you want. These are all little details. This is where you get to take your time, make it really special, make it your own. I'm literally just taking white and tapping, almost globbing it along the edge of that path. Look at how that makes that path pop. Isn't that cool? There, these are all the detail stuff. Sometimes just starting to paint without a thought process is a good thing. Often and not though. Usually it's better to have a little plan going in. All right, next what we want to do, I think our trees are dry enough that we can actually add a little bit of snow to them because they're right now they're pretty flat yet. If you love that starkness, you're welcome to leave it at that as well, but I do think they need a little bit of snow. So what I'm going to do, clean brush, lots of white, excuse me, and we're just going to start to tap the tips of some of these branches, exactly where in real life snow would kind of settle. It's not about perfect, You notice I'm focusing on the bright side where the light source is right now. I really want to make it look like that sun or star, I guess, is just literally hitting the tips of those branches. Not too perfect again with the snow, just little taps. You don't want it to look like polka dots, so you want to kind of push down a little bit, make sure you have enough paint on there. There we go, make sure it's on the tops of your branches. You don't want to be doing all your snow underneath each branch. Doesn't quite have the same effect, the realism that you're looking for. Put a little bit on that side. Again, the globs are good. They make it more interesting. Don't be perfect. Look at how that really makes that tree pop. Isn't that fantastic? I love it. Yes. Now on the dark side, I will do a little bit, but definitely not as much. Just a little hint here. Because you will still see snow there, but I do want that to kind of be the reason, the brightest part. So I'm just a tiny bit, even if this turns a little bit gray, that's actually a good thing. So you end up with kind of a light and a dark side. I'm totally good with that. Mine is turning a little bit gray. I don't know if that shows up, but just a little bit. The other thing is, don't forget the center of the tree. You don't want to ignore the middle branches, the ones that are pointing at you, right? So don't forget to add a little bit in the center there. There we go. Now my brush still has that gray, so I'm just gonna touch. Nope, not enough. There we go. Touch this tree as well. Put a little bit on here. Look how fun and easy this is. Winter painting is the best. There. Little touches. This tree was a bit wetter, so it might be a bit grayer, and I'm okay with that too. Kind of sets it a little bit back, and that's fine. It's not as bright. There we go. Beautiful. Love it. Look at how that finishes that off. I love it. Now, the church should be dry enough that we can get in there. I did not grab my yellow. So I was going to do yellow windows in here, but because I don't have yellow on my palette, that's fine. I'll use white. I also don't have a small enough brush. In the kit that I'm selling, the brushes are a little smaller, and so you'll have a better size brush for this, but that's fine. I'm gonna work with what I got. I wanna add just a little bit of a hint of a highlight to some parts. So the roof right here, I'm just gonna take a gray color. It's not a super light gray, just a little bit of a light gray. And I'm just gonna go like this. I'm just gonna touch the top of that roof like that. Gives you that little impression. I'm gonna go out, just do a little line. Nothing is perfect. Remember, this is not my calling to be a detail person. So this is just really simple. Just keep it really, really simple. See how that totally transforms that church though? If you want to get even more crazy, you can even go like this and pretend there's some snow built up on there. I mean, this is just getting a little more detail. This one here, now this is actually like a steeple. I guess there'd be a bell inside probably, so I'm just gonna do a little detail, nothing crazy. And then maybe pick one. Nope, gonna leave that alone, and then I'll just do one here. There's gonna be a little roof line here. This is kind of where the entrance would be, I guess, like that. Sometimes, again, less is more. Don't overthink this stuff. That's all it took. Now I'm gonna take, this will be the hard part, I'm gonna put in the windows. Again, my brush is kind of big for this little details, but let's see what happens. I'm gonna go like this, take straight white, and I'm just gonna do, I don't wanna do a ton. I'm gonna go 1, 2, maybe a third here. Why not? Maybe do a 2 on this part here. Just to throw it out there. Does it need another one? I think that's probably good, eh? Again, too much, and then you're drawing the eye away from everything else. So I think that looks pretty good. Now it's again up to you how much more you want to add. I'm happy with this again, because this is part of a whole. I don't want this to be the only thing your eye is looking at. I want you to look at this and then get drawn around with the trees and everything. So have fun with it. If you want to get really detailed, you could even put like little grates in there in the windows. You could put like little light marks on the snow. I mean, you could get pretty crazy. However, I'm happy with it at this point. I don't think it needs more. I love how this kind of flows and goes together. So I'm excited to see your creations. I hope you have fun with this painting. And yeah, make sure that somehow you send me a picture. I want to see what you've done. You guys have a good Christmas. I probably will not see you until the new year. I hope to see people in person in the new year. That would be the best. So you guys have a good Christmas season.